What's up, everyone? Matt back for a real review, but it's one of those special ones where I'm not really going to be doing most of the talking because I haven't seen the movie. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Geoff. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm very tired. Let's see if this can be less than 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, we have a
We
tendency,
try.
don't we? We try it. We're
Try.
like, oh yeah, this ain't going to be more than like 15 minutes tops, 30
And
minutes.
it's 29 minutes. Like, great. Awesome.
So
Amazing. Yeah. So I got a chance to see a screening early for a new A24 film called A Different Man, as you could tell from the logo. Right here. I got it. Yep. There you go. I didn't need to do all that with my hand. I could have just pointed. A Different Man, which was directed by Aaron. I got all the information up here. Aaron Schimberg, a director who I have not heard of before this, but I am now very interested in seeing what he does next. As well as it stars Sebastian Stan, Bucky from the MCU, for all you people who watch the most popular franchise in the world. As well as Renate Reinsve, which I hope I got her name right. She came on the scene in a big way with The Worst Person in the World that Neon released a couple years ago. Love that movie. As well as Adam Pearson. Adam Pearson, who I never heard of before, but he is someone who happens to have a facial deformity to it, a medical condition that makes him have like a whole lot of growths. It seems like it's very interesting and unique, is a way to put it. The story is about Sebastian Stan. He plays Edward, a man who happens to have, it's called neurofibromatosis, which is like similar to Adam Pearson, a type of facial malformation where it's a whole bunch of growths, and it seems almost uh, like imagine if Deadpool's face after he got his powers, where it's just like all pocked up. Imagine if it was that, but it was like blown outward also. It's he's trying to be an actor, but also he's this huge introvert because he has this medical condition that causes his face to become this way. And he lives alone in this apartment. And Renate Reinsve, who plays Ingrid, she moves in next door, and they hit it off really nice. And then one day, Edward is able to try a new experimental medical procedure that literally has the growth start to fall off of his face until he looks like Sebastian Stan. And that gives him this newfound confidence to maybe become the person that he wished he could have, but he couldn't because he felt that his facial deformity held him back. So, as anyone would do in this situation, when he suddenly no longer had the growths on his face, he told everyone, including his doctor, "Oh, Edward died. I'm his friend Gus or Guy. I'm his friend Guy," and he tries to like live a new life, and he ends up somehow still connecting with his old neighbor Ingrid, but also crossing paths with Oswald, played by Adam Pearson, a man who has the same facial malformations that Edward did, but none of the introverted lack of confidence that Edward has. And it's this very interesting story of the grass may not always be greener on the other side, but also you should maybe treasure what you have and make the most of it. It's a very interesting, unique movie, and it sounds like I'm sort of summarizing it in a very like concise way. This is a strange movie. This is a very strange movie in a very heightened world. Everything's very like it's a very darkly comic bent to it. I'm talking about the absurd nature of stuff like when it comes to A24. I don't think that it's necessarily as like obtuse as something as Beau is Afraid, but it's the same similar. It's a similar sort of world where everything seems just a little bit off, a little bit of Lynch, a little bit of Yorgos Lanthimos in there. It's a whole bunch of that sort of very odd kind of humor where everything feels strange, but in a way where you're both laughing at it, but you're also kind of unsettled at the same time. And it took a little bit for me to understand what the wavelength was with this movie. But as when I actually was able to understand it, I was fully on board.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot to process.
It's a really curious movie, and the thing is, though, it goes in some increasingly strange directions too. It's very hard to discuss the movie where I could list out the things that happen too, and it's not it, it it's very much a character journey type movie where you could spoil stuff, but it's really not the same thing as watching it. So I could tell you what happens, and you're just gonna be like, "I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, wait, what?" over and over. But watching it, you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it," because I've been living in this heightened world that the movie has set up, that Aaron Schimberg has kind of created here. He wrote and directed the film, and it's able to sort of lull you into this uh, oddly comfortable setting where everything seems strange, but you really want to see how it kind of comes about. And I won't say, where it goes after everything I kind of said, because that does take up, it's odd. It takes up a chunk of the movie, like a large chunk of the movie is what I summarized, but it's not really a spoiler, like I said, because that sounds like a pretty basic sort of thing. Guy does something in order to change his situation, and he learns through many different ways that maybe he didn't have to do that sort of thing, change to maybe all he had to do was change his perspective, and or maybe he didn't have to. It's a whole lot of very curious ideas at play that makes you sort of question it and make you want to discuss it with people that have also seen it, to figure out, well, who's actually a good person here, and do you understand where these people are coming from? And I just think it's a really fascinating, interesting, very deeply funny piece.
Key performances, standouts.
I think that this is the best performance that Sebastian Stan has given. He's a very
Really?
good. I think he's a very good actor. Now, I haven't seen The Apprentice yet. I know that that's something that people will have one way or another on, but I'm very interested to see how he works, such a larger than life persona as Donald Trump in a film, to see how it's able to function. Is it parody or is he a character? I think that this here, because it helps that it's this original thing, that where you're not like seeing like, oh, well, is he doing justice off of this stuff? Is he doing justice off of the script that he was given? I think yes. I think that there are so many different layers and different tones. This is one of those movies where if the humor doesn't work for you, it's going to be one where you're like, I just think that the tone is all over the place. I don't really get it. I think it's kind of a mess. But even then, if you think it's a mess, I think it's a very interesting mess. And I know that you can't just say, I found it interesting. You just say, why did I find it interesting? I did kind of explain it before there, but I think that he's able to toe that line so well, and he's able to sell all these different versions of Edward, who he is, who he was, who he wants to be, who he realizes that he's always been. He's great. Renate Reinsve is also very good. She's just super charming. She's just real. She makes everything she does seem pretty effortless. Between everything she did in The Worst Person in the World, I haven't seen a whole lot of other work that she was in. I saw one, I think, called Raising the Undead or something like that came out this year. Very slow kind of zombie movie that I wasn't as wild about as some other people. She was good in it, but that was a much more internalized performance. Here, she's just this charming woman who's also like a playwright working to try to like write the next script that she wants to release off Broadway. And she's just having a lot of fun with it, and she's just a very pleasant, enjoyable presence. Super charming personality. The standout is actually Adam Pearson, who plays Oswald, the man who he shows up about halfway through the movie. He shows up with, I think, like maybe halfway through the movie, a little bit after halfway maybe, and he just completely steals everything. He's this guy with the. This movie takes place in America. It takes place in New York. It's a very, very, for all the absurd, heightened stuff that it does, it's a very New York film. It feels, as someone who is not from New York, it feels to me like it is sort of like a very New York-esque film. And here comes this guy with with this huge facial malformation, so everyone can't help but, because it's different than what they're used to, always pay attention to this guy. But this is a guy who comes up and he's like, "Hey, how are you doing? Oh man, it's been so great. Oh, I just admire everything you're doing." He's the nicest person you've ever met. He's the life of the party. He is so kind and courteous, and he's the best. He's the best guy around. He's also super British and wears ascots and stuff. Like I saw, before I ever even knew what he looked like really, or what his voice sounded like. I saw someone put a meme out there where it was like, "Oh yeah, everyone doing this stuff," and then here's Adam Pearson in A Different Man. It's a gif of Austin Powers, and he tweeted back, "Yeah, baby." And then I watched the movie, and I'm like, this dude is just a nice Austin Powers with an interesting face. It's a really interesting, different kind of performance than we're used to seeing, and he's so good that I really have trouble picking apart, issues with him or Sebastian Stan or anyone else in the cast. I've sat with the movie since I first saw it a week ago from the time of this recording. I saw it, I think, like 6 days ago. And I think I like it more now. I think that I need to see how it holds up on repeat before I know how it fully sits with me. But I really, really like it.
Stop the presses. Geoff Altman once again talked about watching a movie on repeat. So if you had to rate this film, what are you going to get? What are you going to give it out of 5?
I think that as of right now, I'm at a 4 out of 5. I think that it is very strong in what it's trying to do. I don't know necessarily if everything it does is 100% successful. As I said, I think that if you're not able to work with the tonal shifts and the way where it could play multiple tones at once, it has a little bit of humor, it has the buddy humor, it has romance, it has a little bit of horror even in there. It would be out of place feeling like it might have been, co-produced by by Ari Aster and Yorgos Lanthimos almost. In a way, it's very interesting, and it doesn't have that like stilted dialogue. It's just sort of that weird, darker humor type feeling I'm talking about. Yeah, that's my general thoughts on it, and that was way quicker than normal for me.
Yeah, I know. We're right in the 15-minute mark. All right.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Geoff. For those of you who haven't been tuning in, make sure to check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, like it's in the top corner above Geoff over there. And make sure to check out our sister YouTube channel where all the VODs from that Twitch go to live, and that is Watt Gaming. One of my partners, Taylor Click, does a fantastic job just keeping that up to date and providing such fun and interesting content for his streams, and really just love that. Also, be sure to tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. We'll do not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. There's a couple reviews dropping next week. We got one for Saturday night and another for We Live in Time. So be sure to come back and check those out. But tomorrow, or today actually, there's a special announcement video coming on the channel. 2 p.m. Be sure to tune in and check this out, because it seems like that we may be getting a little back to our roots in multiple ways. So be sure to check that out. Thank you, Geoff. Thank you for everyone who tuned in.
You're welcome.
Remember to like, subscribe, and follow everything we do over here at Wattville Entertainment.
If you want to, don't tell them what to do. Just ask them to do it.
And make sure to follow Geoff and myself on Twitter. We refuse to call it the other name. And yeah, until then, folks, we'll see you next time.